What's going on, everybody? It's Halfway Nuts. In my last video, we explored at length Hopetown on Polvo, and it turns out that Hopetown is the home of the starship builder Hopetech. While we were exploring the town, we learned a lot about Hopetech. It turns out that starship builder builds a lot of, I guess you could call them space semi-trucks or space barges or flying trains. They definitely build a lot of really industrial-looking cargo vessels is really what they're known for. So I think today, as something of a follow-up to that video, we are going to do a starship build. Are we going to build a starship, though? Are we going to modify a ship? You know what? We are going to take a pre-existing ship and modify it so that it looks and functions not like it used to. It turns out that you cannot just build a ship from scratch. You have to first either buy a ship or otherwise acquire it through less than ideal means, at which point you can register it and then you can modify it any way you want. So we are going to do I'd say a majority Hopetech starship build. There's going to be some Hopetech and some Deimos in there, but I think those two pair fairly well together. They go together pretty well. Before we get started, I do have to talk about my skill points, because in order to make this build possible, I did have to have piloting rank 3 as well as starship design rank 2. In order to do this build, you will have to have those skill points, so do keep that in mind. Alright, let's get into this. Right then, here we are in the starship builder at Hopetown. Now, before we begin, let's talk about a couple things. Make sure when we go into the build mode that you are watching the stats at the bottom, such as the hull, the shield, the cargo, the max crew, the jump range, and things like that, because those are going to change, obviously, over time from what you see now until the end of the build. Those stats are going to change quite a lot, and so it'll give you a good indication of how the ship has improved. Also, I will try to do this in a relatively slow pace. That way you can see what components I'm putting on the ship. For example, we have a Hope 55 landing gear. I'm not going to directly reference the name of every component I'm putting on here, so if you want to play along and build this same ship, do pause the video and make sure that you are putting the right components on. Alright, let's get started. So, I wanted to start with a ship that was already using majority Hopetech parts to begin with, and it turns out that the Crimson Fleet Ghost uses, well, almost entirely Hopetech parts. This is, of course, a captured ship. I landed on, I can't remember what planet it was, but I landed on a planet and just kind of took off running one direction and happened to stumble on a ship landing site. Well, I ambushed the landing site and stormed the ship and took it over. It wasn't that hard because this is a fairly low level Crimson Fleet spawn, so it wasn't really all that hard to take it over anyway. Something interesting about it, though, is in its default configuration. I haven't done anything to this ship yet. It comes in its default configuration with 2 yellow indicator lights on the pre-flight check. So the pre-flight check. Oh my god, this is going to be a hell of a video if I'm going to be doing that a lot. The pre-flight check, excuse me, is throwing 2 yellow indicator lights from the very outset. One for low mobility, meaning it needs better engines in order to maneuver well. It must have some really weak engines then, because this is quite a small ship. So the fact that it is underpowered is kind of surprising. And then it's throwing another indicator light for a missing weapons assignment, because ideally you want a ship to have energy weapons, cannons, and missiles. Well, this one only has energy weapons and missiles, so it's missing a gun type altogether. So we're going to make this into a much better ship. I think we're going to lean into the cargo hauling aspect of Hopetech. We're not going to build something crazy, like we're not going to build this like honkin' behemoth. But we are going to make something that can push cargo pretty easily. The first thing we need to do is just delete everything that we know we're not going to use. So we may as well delete it all right from the very outset, just so it's not getting in the way. So delete all this, and we're left with this kind of bare bones shell. These are the only parts that are going to be carried forward. Move this back because we're going to make it longer. And let's go into the habs. And the first hab, it's going to be a 2x1. And it's going to be the computer core. And we'll show you what the ship looks like on the inside later. And the next one is going to be... Where is it? It's the all-in-one berth. That goes right here. And the landing gear goes back on just like that. So... let's just start from the front. We are going to do a different cockpit. We're going to do this one right here. This is going to go up on top, like you see right here. Fits into place quite nicely. And then we are going to go into structural. And we need this right here. So that's going to go, oops, right there. And then, can't remember how this build is done. Oh, we need a grav drive. So here's the thing about grav drives. They can get really OP really quickly. And with my particular play style in Bethesda games, be it Fallout 4, Skyrim, Starfield, whatever, I do not tend to like a character that is just maxed out. So what we're going to do is try not to max out the grav drive because it maxes out at 30. I want mine closer to 20. So right now we're going to start with this because the weight actually affects your jump range. And right now the ship doesn't have much weight. So everything is going to say 30 light years because the ship weighs basically nothing. So we're going to put this right here. And then we're going to keep moving towards the back. Now we need a reactor. The reactor we're going to use is going to be this one right here. And we're not going to worry about the colors. When we go over to Deimos later to finish this up, we'll paint it while we're there. And then the engine is going to be this one. That in place right, oops, right there. Okay, what's next? We need... Okay, I remember now. We need to add cargo and fuel. Now, for the cargo, we're going to use this one right here. I've done this build before. I'm just trying to remember how I did it. I'm going to put cargo pods right there on either side. Just like you see right there. And then we need fuel. Let's go to these fuel tanks right here. Those right on top like that. There we go, it's starting to come together. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this ship in the configuration that it's in is that it's throwing up a bunch of warning lights, those yellow indicator lights. Most of them are, oh, it's missing a shield, and it's missing all the weapons assignments, but one of the things is that huge engine with all that thrust is still not enough to not throw up a yellow indicator light. It's not nominal power. So we're going to have to add a couple more engines to make it to make this ship kind of fall into the nominal category power-wise. See, now you no longer have the yellow indicator light for it being underpowered. Alright, this ship is now, I guess, space-worthy, airworthy, whatever you want to call it. So in order to finish up this build, we are actually going to go over to Deimos and use mostly cosmetic parts for that. We're going to put some cosmetic parts on it. We're going to put the weapons on it. I personally really do not like my ships to have open snap points. And so I tend to want to put a lot of like cowling and just cosmetic parts on to make it look like it's not incomplete. So let's go over to Deimos and finish this up. Alright, we are pulling into Deimos, orbiting Mars. This is a huge star yard. Whoa! Almost hit the damn thing. Alright, let's get in there.
The UC's watching over this star yard like a hawk, so we should watch our step.
You don't say. Why is my health so low? Anyway.
Greetings, Captain.
Hey, Vasco. So this is Deimos. I haven't been over here yet in this playthrough.
The United Colonies was born.
It's actually kind of cool looking in here.
And valiant colonists used Deimos starships to venture.
Deimos builds some of the toughest ships in the settled systems. That's probably why the UC Navy continues to contract with them to this day.
What do we have here? A civilian in my star yard. Deimos prides itself on being the UC's first and last line of defense in space. But we're more than happy to protect and arm bold entrepreneurs that do their business among the stars.
Yeah, how about that? It's a civilian. What do you know? Do you only sell military vessels?
Deimos has a starship to fill every need. Science vessels and the like. But what we're known for, what we're built for, is combat. Deimos starships have seen more action in more theaters than any of our competitors.
Really now? This place is certainly something.
History was forged in our star yard, time and time again. So, let's see about getting you a proper ship, one worthy of you.
Are Deimos ships really that good?
Yes, they are. I flew my longsword in 43 combat missions. It never once failed me. That's what you get with Deimos. Our ships have been battle-tested for decades longer than anyone else.
43 combat missions. That's a shitload. It's pretty impressive.
I've had a long and successful military career. Deimos starships have played a major part in it. In fact, I'm sure that if I flew any lesser starship, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now talking to you. That's what Deimos affords you. The confidence to go soaring into the fire, the death, and know that you will make it out alive.
I do love me some firepower.
Then you'll love the ships we have on offer. If you ever get into a combat situation, your enemies won't know what hit them. And that's the way it should be.
I'd like to modify my ship if you could, please.
I think you'll be more than satisfied.
Me too. And here it is, the same Crimson Fleet Ghost. I gotta rename this. Let's rename this before we go any further. Go into the pre-flight check and rename it. So I am active duty United States Air Force, and I have flown on a number of C-5s and C-130s, and so I think what I'm gonna do is rename this into a decommissioned cargo plane. Starlifter. Starlifter 2. Sounds like a good name to me. Okay, we have some work to do. Let's see here. We need some cowling, first and foremost. Let's go to structural. And I'm going to put this up on the top, right here. And let's see, what else? This is going to go right up here. And then we need some front cowling. Put this right here. And one on the other side. And then there's some side cowling here that almost look like it's got like a radiator attached to it. This right here kind of matches this one right here. That is going to go over here on either side. And minus the weapons, I think we're done. Ooh, we need a shield. Let's see, we want a shield that's good but not great. Let's do this one. Why not? Actually, no. I take that back. If you're gonna max out anything, it ought to be your shield. And it's still not maxed out. I suppose I could unlock better shields, but insofar as the skills that I've unlocked, this is the best shield I can get. Okay, now we need guns. So I am going to put... Let's start with the energy weapons. I think I'll use this one right here for the energy weapons. This is a beam weapon. I currently have a skill point in particle beam weapons anyway, so that's going to work out for me. And then we need a cannon. Let's do this one. It's a big sumbitch. Now, none of these are, I guess, the most damaged version of themselves, but it's still some serious weaponry, way more than what you have on like the Frontier. Missiles. This one. Put that one up there. Cool. Now, structurally, we are... Well, I still have some snapping points that are open. Let's do more cargo. These'll do. And this is it. Pretty cool looking, I think. Alright, this is the part that I am not excited about. We have to paint this thing. Now, of all the things that suck about shipbuilding in Starfield, this part sucks the worst. The way they chose to go about coloring your ship is so fucking stupid. Like, look at all that mess of colors. Like, I would almost rather they just give you 50, 60, 70, even 100 like named colors to choose from. This is too much freedom, in my personal opinion. Like, there was I think the way I'm going to paint this is I saw a ship for sale at Hopetown that had this really interesting light gray and light blue. So basically what I had to do is I had to buy the ship, reverse engineer the color, and then load a previous save from before I bought it. And so that's the color we're going to go with right now. So a majority of the parts are going to be this light gray. And so I picked the exact light gray from that large ship that I found. And so here's how we're going to do the coloring. All three color palettes, at least for the main color, are the same. So whenever I refer to colors, so for example, the hue and the saturation is 0, so whenever I refer to a color being changed, I am going to say, for example, the brightness needs to be 45 clicks from the left. And so if it, say for example it's 5 clicks from the left, well, you would move your indicator all the way to the left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to do this, like I said, to reverse engineer the color. So the gray part is 45 clicks from the left. And here it is, 0 hue and saturation and 45 clicks from the left for the brightness. That is going to be carried forward to colors 2 and 3. Now, the easiest way to do this, to match from color 1 to color 2 and color 3, etc., is to switch back and forth, like you see here, And for color 2, I'm just going to move it kind of vaguely where it was. Okay, so this one needs to go to the left a little bit. And there we go. It matches. So same thing with number 3. So now all 3 of them match. And that's the gray color that's going to be on the majority of the ship. Now, what parts do I want to make blue? Let's do this one. We'll do the fuel, the engines, the shield, and the grav drive. Oh, forgot to select one right there. Okay. Now, in order to do this blue, the hue has to be 43 clicks from the right. So go all the way to the right, and then click over 43 times. Okay, we're done with that. Now we got to move to saturation, which is 20 clicks from the right. And then brightness is 41 clicks from the left. And there we go. That's the color setup. So now we got to match it for the other 2 colors. Okay, it looks like all 3 colors are matched up. Except that. Starting to look pretty good, I think. Hopetech ship. Now, the last thing we have to do is the cargo holds down here. Those on the larger ship that I bought and stole the color off of, those are some kind of funky shade of black. It's actually really interesting. So, select these 2. Now we're going to color those up. And the hue is 0. The saturation for color 1, oddly, is 3. And then the brightness is 46 from the left. That's color 1. And for color 2, the hue and the saturation are both 0. And the brightness is 14 from the left. Okay, the ship is pretty much done. Actually, wait, we're getting 2 red indicator lights, which means it's not, space-worthy. Let's take a look. Ship contains modules that exceed the reactor class. Ah, there we go. I accidentally put a C-class shield on there, so we gotta get rid of that. And put a B-class. Because the reactor, you cannot have modules on there like shields or engines that are higher than the reactor class. So let's do the B-class shield right here. Now to recolor this, you should be able to just select what it's attached to, and then select this, and then go into the paint mode, and then just edit one single parameter. I'm going to move the brightness 1 peg to the left, and then back to the right again. Same thing for this one, 1 peg to the left, and then back to the right. And then 1 peg to the left, and then back to the right. And there you have it. We still have 1 red indicator light. We have weapons that must be assigned to a group. Okay. So for those of you who haven't made it past that part and it's pissing you off, here's how that basically works. You go into the pre-flight check and go to the right. Now, the default order for this, for the way the weapons were positioned on the Frontier, is energy weapons, cannons, missiles. So we're going to do the neutron beam, and then the cannon, and then the missile launcher. And now we have a nominal check, which means the ship is good to go. So to finish up this video, we're going to take it out into space, we're going to fly it around, we're going to do a little bit of combat, and then we'll take a look at the interior and we'll be done. So let's take this out into space and see how it flies. So admittedly, while I was trying to fly this thing around and get some footage, I ended up running into some ecliptic starships. So let's try to take these guys out and see how the weapons work. Not going well so far. What difficulty am I on? It is a high level ship. It's a level 30 ship. Holy crap. guys need to hurry up. Whoa. Bumped into him. Let's see here. Oh crap, here comes another one. Why is he going so slow? That took a lot. Okay. Let's fly this thing around. Now, admittedly, this thing, well, it flies like you're driving a bus. The maneuverability on this thing is not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. I mean, let's go into the cargo. And, yeah, we have a cargo mass of 1,595, which is a lot for a ship this small with this few engines. So it's not gonna corner super great. I mean, this is me just like really getting into it, and this is also with 3 levels of piloting skill. Now, when you do the thrusters, it will swing around with some intent, but either way, it's not the most maneuverable thing ever. If you're trying to do dogfights, this is not the thing to do it in. It'll defend itself, but if you got really fast enemies that are just zipping around you in circles, you're gonna have a hard time keeping them in your sights. Alright, that dogfight was on normal mode, the one we just did. I'm gonna crank it all the way up to very hard and see what happens here. We have a Crimson Fleet Phantom. Holy crap. This should be interesting. Whoa! I'm barely keeping him in my sights with the thrusters. Come on. About time I get a missile lock. Holy crap.
You've already lost!
Come on. Losing my shield. Whoa. I gotta take this guy out or he's gonna kill me. That is a huge Crimson Fleet ship. Look at that. Where the hell are you going, you pirate son of a bitch? Whoa, I'm gonna hit him.
Come on!
Bumped into him. Jesus. Can't fly worth a shit. Oh man, I can't shoot my particle beam because it's freaking dead. Finally. Wow. Yeah, if you're looking for mobility, this ship configuration is not the way you get it. It is cool to fly, though. I kind of like it. Alright, let's land this thing, and we'll take a look at the outside up close, and we'll do a tour of the inside of the ship. And here it is, up close and personal, the Starlifter 2. With the docking bay right on the front. And we have a front entrance wide open, which is kind of cool. Let's go back a ways and walk around it. It's a lot bigger than it looks. Functionally speaking, it I've been flying this thing around for a while, and you know what? It might look huge, but it's not much bigger than the Frontier. Let's do this. So here it is in the Starship menu, my garage, as you can say. And here it is side by side with the Frontier. Now, the thing about the Frontier is it has a really awkwardly long cockpit that sticks out in front of the hab, versus this has a cockpit that's on top of the hab. And so I think what's mostly making this Starlift are even slightly longer than the Frontier is the fact that it's got an engine sticking out the back. You take the engine off, and if anything, it might be the same length as the Frontier, maybe even shorter. So it's not as big as it looks. It's just crazy heavy because of all the cargo compartments that are on it. Alright, let's get out of this and go into the habs, and we'll take a look at those. Okay, when you enter the ship, it's actually kind of disorienting because when you run up the bay to climb into the ship, you're facing towards the stern. But when you spawn inside the ship, you're facing towards the bow, and so I've spawned in the ship and then tried to run up this way, thinking I was going towards the stern, but in fact I was going towards the bow where the docking bay is. So, just something interesting. Now, we're going to explore this, well, not exactly huge interior after we've flown it around for a while, and if you didn't know this, if you fly your ship around long enough, eventually static clutter will start to spawn in here. I did not put any of this stuff here, it just spawns in there. I think there's kind of a fixed list of stuff that spawns because I've put like food in the cargo bay, for example, and didn't have it spawn in the ship, so I don't think it matters what you put in the ship. I think certain stuff just spawns. Now, this is the bow, as I said. This ladder goes up to the cockpit. Let's just start right there. It's a rather bare bones looking cockpit. It is kind of cool looking though, I think. It's all function and no form, I guess, so to speak. You might notice a change of scenery. We had to go from New Atlantis to Sidonia to get the static clutter to spawn in the ship. So that will explain that away. It is a very bare bones, kind of bolted together looking cockpit. It's pretty big though, considering the ship isn't that big. Let's go back down here. Now, I like how this computer core area kind of adds a semi-room to the front part of the ship. I had considered putting a crew station in here, but as I'll show you in some B-roll, it just looked a little too wide open for me. I wanted something that kind of restricted movement just a little bit. And considering how this ship has such a huge cargo capacity, it's got better weapons, it's got better engines, it makes sense that the second hab would add one more crew member, and it would also add a couple extra.
Something new today.
It would also add a couple extra computers to the ship that you would kind of need to run the basic functions. It makes sense that there would be a couple extra computers up in here. I also didn't put a crew station in here because I felt like it added too many people to the crew.
Thinking of something else. Yes, Captain.
Let me get out of his way, otherwise he's going to keep talking to me. It felt like it added too many people to the crew, too many crew positions that this ship just did not need. I think if the Frontier has room for 2 crew members, then it makes sense that this only slightly bigger ship would have a capacity for 3 crew members to run it. So this is the computer core. With all the static clutter that goes with that. Would you get out of my way, Barrett? Kind of cool looking stuff going on in here.
Talk to me.
What's up?
And in the stern of the ship is the all-in-one hab with all the static clutter that goes with that. Empty beer bottles and board games and food. Pencils and clocks and coffee cups and things like that. I think it actually looks kind of cool in here. It reminds me of when I've flown on C5s and C-130s and stuff like that. It's a really familiar looking atmosphere. See what's in the fridge. See, this stuff spawns in here too. Orange juice, colas, beers. Good stuff.
Hey, Captain. Need help with anything?
And then I like that they gave you 4 beds because you have a capacity for 3 crew members and a pilot. So, of course, there would be 4 beds. See what we got here? Playing cards. More orange juice for some reason. Coffee mugs. And what's actually, I think the coolest part is the lavatory, because they put like humidifiers in here. There's tissues and soap dispensers and cosmetics and even toilet paper. I think that's kind of cool. So that is the interior of the ship, and I guess that's it. That's the Starlifter 2 for you. So if you enjoyed the video, do leave a comment or give this video a like. Questions, comments, put them in the comments section of the video. Otherwise, until next time, this is Halfway Nuts telling you, don't go nuts. That is my job. I'll catch you later.